When a seven-time world champion walks into Ferrari expecting evolution but finds resistance instead, that's the reality Lewis Hamilton is facing right now. While the world watches closely for lap times, Hamilton is working tirelessly behind closed doors, pushing, prodding, and practically dragging Ferrari's engineers into uncharted waters. His mission is not just about winning races, it's about shaking up the mindset of an institution that's been built on tradition for decades. As Hamilton himself often says, "I'm constantly battling." So, what's really going on inside the legendary walls of Maranello? Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about where the car is, it's about where the driver wants to take it. Lewis Hamilton didn't just change teams, she entered a completely different racing philosophy. At Mercedes, constant innovation, rapid response cycles, and fast adaptation to new challenges were the norms. Everything was designed for efficiency and speed, continuously improving. At Ferrari, however, things move in their own rhythm. They set things up and are like, "This is how we always do it," Hamilton revealed. "I'm like, well, what about this? Why can't we try this?" It's not a battle of egos but a battle of evolution. While Ferrari fine-tunes the familiar and builds on what has always worked for them, Hamilton is challenging that default. He's pushing engineers to break patterns, try new setups, and rethink what's considered normal inside the SF-25. The results are gradual, but they're happening, Hamilton noted. "We've improved in qualifying from Monaco onwards. Bit by bit, progress is being made. Still, there's a limit to how far setup tweaks can go without fresh hardware." Ferrari hasn't brought major upgrades in weeks, and Hamilton is feeling that ceiling. "It's the same car each weekend. We need upgrades to fight the guys up front," he stressed. Translation? Strategy and setup alone won't close the gap to McLaren and Red Bull. Hamilton is no stranger to how Formula One development cycles work. He's been on both sides, winning titles early in the year thanks to massive upgrade packages, and struggling through long seasons when updates didn't arrive on time. That's why his focus isn't just on the present, it's on what's coming in the near future. "It's my first year in a new team. It's interesting to see how different teams operate," he said diplomatically. But make no mistake, Hamilton is already thinking about 2026 and beyond. With Formula One heading into a new era, he wants to ensure Ferrari doesn't just bring a new car, but a completely new way of working. "I want a car that can win next year, that's the priority." Ironically, while Charles Leclerc currently has more podiums and points, Hamilton might be laying the groundwork for the car that doesn't just finish, but wins. And wins consistently. What happens when your gut tells you one thing, but your team insists on the opposite? That's exactly what Charles Leclerc faced during the chaotic Canadian Grand Prix, as he found himself stuck in the middle of a strategic tug-of-war with Ferrari. But here's the twist. It wasn't just about tires or pit. Window sit was a bigger reflection of a driver trying to trust his instincts while battling a system that doesn't always listen to him. What came next? Well, let's just say it ended in confusion, crossed wires, and some brutally honest post-race conversations. It all started with a tire call. Leclerc was running the hard compound and felt confident. The grip was solid, and his pace was holding steady. So, when he keyed in Plan C over the radio, his code for a one-stop strategy, it wasn't a gamble, it was a calculated decision. But what did Ferrari do? They called him in on lap 27 and threw on another set of hards, locking him into a two-stop strategy. Over the radio, confusion turned into frustration. "I don't understand this choice." "The tires were fine," he said. Ferrari's response? "We're on floor B," as if that settled everything. But the disconnect didn't end there. In his second stint, Charles was told to lift and coast and avoid staying too long on the medium tires he actually felt confident with. "I don't understand. The mediums for me are a good tire," he explained. The race would ultimately end behind a safety car after McLaren teammates Piastri and Norris collided. Leclerc finished P5. On paper, it looked like decent points. But behind the scenes, there was a lot of tension. After the race, team principal Fred Vasseur didn't shy away from the elephant in the garage. Yes, he heard the vocal radio calls. Yes, he spoke directly with Leclerc. And yes, he admitted that Charles had a point, to some degree. "We didn't have much to lose when you're back in the pack," Vasseur said. "But going 50 laps on a single set of hards for us felt too optimistic. The team argued they lacked enough data during the weekend to confidently commit to that strategy. Leclerc, though, wasn't buying it entirely. He stood by his gut call, saying he felt the one-stop strategy could have worked and perhaps even helped him challenge the McLarens before things fell apart. Still, Charles didn't place all the blame on strategy. He took ownership of his FP1 crash, admitted that his P8 qualifying position left him on the back foot, and said that those factors ultimately cost him a better result. The poor result today is more down to my mistake in FP1. I probably didn't extract the maximum, he said. Hamilton, who was supposed to be the missing piece, the legend in red, a record-breaking champion joining the most iconic team in Formula One, has found himself facing a different reality. 10 races into the season, his Ferrari dream looks more like a puzzle with no instructions. While fans keep asking what's wrong, one of Hamilton's oldest rivals, Fernando Alonso, just dropped a quiet warning that says more than it seems. Let's break it down. When Lewis Hamilton signed with Ferrari, the world lit up with nostalgia, hype, and hope. The thought of F1's most decorated driver pairing up with its most storied team felt like destiny. But fast forward to the midpoint of the season, and it's not the kind of history anyone expected. 0 podiums, 1 sprint win, a best Grand Prix finish of P4, 14 seconds behind Max Verstappen, and perhaps most telling, only one Sunday where he outperformed Charles Leclerc. Since then, Leclerc has had the upper hand in qualifying, race results, and points. The scoreboard doesn't lie. But Hamilton isn't just quietly taking the losses. He's been dropping cryptic clues, saying things like, "There's a lot of changes that need to be made in the system. I wish I could tell you what's happening." He's hinting at deeper problems, ones buried inside Ferrari's structure, and the silence around the specifics is loud in its own way. Now enter Fernando Alonso, not just any former teammate, but someone who knows exactly what it's like to wear red and carry the weight of the Tifosi's expectations. When Alonso speaks on Ferrari, it's not speculation, it's experience. When asked what's going wrong with Hamilton, Alonso shrugged off any blame game. "I have no idea. Lewis is a great driver. He can turn things around very quickly." But then came a deeper comparison, one that fans may not have spotted. "I don't think the situation has changed much compared to last year with Russell. Ouch." That hits hard because it implies Hamilton's struggles aren't just about getting used to Ferrari, they're part of a bigger trend that goes all the way back to his last chapter at Mercedes, where Russell often had the upper hand too. Alonso doesn't claim to have insider info, but that's his whole point. No one does, not the media, not the fans, only Hamilton and Ferrari know the full truth. And based on Lewis's vague comments, there's more happening behind closed doors than anyone realizes. "It's difficult to give an opinion without having all the information," Alonso concluded, a warning wrapped in diplomacy.